till Christmas, so there we go. Really appreciate you taking a few hours out of your morning today. We're going to have you back at your day 11-ish, 11:15, depends on how the day progresses. Obviously, we want to use the session and the time wisely. And of course, this mandate for the fall district learning session is really just working with Mohammed, just really obviously trying to add some more value and insight. We're already leaders in our district, we're already engaged, but obviously we're trying to use a couple hours just to pass along some more information. Mohammed really wants to talk. Mohammed and I talked, and my goal as chair of learning and development is really just to execute what Mohammed wants to do. And he just really wants to get as always, get the committee chairs and the AGs, working together and, doing our best to, to help the clubs in our district. And so what we're going to do initially to start today is, again, small groups. So obviously we'll keep it as interactive as possible. It is on Zoom, so as always, mind your mute. But if you need to speak, obviously just unmute yourself, raise your hand. It's a small group here. Well, I'm just going to go around the Hollywood Squares. I'll direct traffic because I'll go on my screen. Want everyone just to take kind of 2 to 3 minutes just to introduce yourself, what your role is in the district, and what you're working on right now. So I'll start being I'm speaking now. So as mentioned, I'm chair of learning and development. So really, my goal in learning and development is a couple things. Really, is doing things like these sessions, the district learning sessions. I'll be working with Darcy later to do the Pels when we start to plan that. After this is completed, I'll work with Darcy to do our Pels session for training the incoming leaders. I'm so excited to announce the Rotary Road Rec Mentorship Program. Jersey and Charby working on that, and that's under learning development as well too. We got 25 road rackers, 21 Rotarians, so really good engagement. And I'm actually a mentor as well. But I'm also excited too because I'm also a mentee. One of the goals of that program is for the road rackers to help teach us old Rotarians about AI and technology. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. I've had the first meeting with my road actor, and it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to the next few months getting to know her and working with her. And of course, and we've actually had quite a few recently is the district learning webinars. So we've had good attendance and some really interesting topics. So keep your ear out if there's any more content you want, and I'll make sure we get the district learning webinars brought up to the district. So that's really my goal for learning development or those areas. Marlene. Just
Sorry, muted. I'm the Polio Plus Chair of Subcommittee of Foundation. Since the beginning of the year, I've worked with the Pancakes for Polio Breakfast, the Twin for Win event, and currently there's a push to increase the membership in the Polio Plus Society. So I sent out an email to all the clubs asking if they could bump their participation up by 25%, and we've had a great response. We have 18 new members as a result of that. 6 clubs have taken action, so that's great. In the spring, we have an opportunity to have the Iron Lung in a couple of malls, and that's great because I met last week with Carolyn Ferguson, and awareness and education is so important. So that's exciting. And another kind of thing that we're going to work on is working with the Polio Plus Society members to create a newsletter or some kind of information gathering, so we have speakers and updates. So some exciting things to work on. Thank you.
Awesome. Margie.
Hello. Can I just ask, is this an introduction in detail around that which we are involved in, or is it just a quick personal introduction?
The first one, that you're involved in. Both. And quick and personal, and then what you're involved in.
Okay. Well, I'm just here for backup with Tabitha and Mohammed, who are co-chairs of the district NGSE. Have served on the district board in the past, have chaired that NGSE committee in the past, very happily serving on the committee now. And active with marketing of the NGSE at different clubs, and very involved with the exchanges, which is our main reason for existing, inbound and outbound exchanges of 18 to 30-year-olds. So that's perhaps me. I'll leave all the other details to Tabitha and Mohammed.
Thanks. Sharon.
Next then.
Morning, everybody. I'm officially on this committee, I guess, for the district or the council legislation, which we've had, and we've got another cycle beginning, which is it's an incredibly edifying process on the broader world of Rotary. Additionally, I represent our district as a board member on the Waterton Glacier International Peace Park, has led me to be more engaged in peace activities. And aspirationally, I would like to see work with this group to create a peace organization, or peace committee within our group. And finally, not finally, I'm on the Zone 2832. I've just been appointed as the learning facilitator for the next two zone institutes. This year, we will have four zones, 28, 32, and two from the United States. And we'll be meeting in Mexico for the training process. So that's exciting. And additionally, I'm on the board of the Zone 2832 DEI Belonging Committee. And I'm just honored to say that we had Mohammed as one of our speakers this past week, and it was incredibly successful. So that's what I'm up to.
Thanks, Dan. Tabitha.
Buddy, I am part of the New Generation Service Exchange, as Margie briefly talked about. So for 18 to 30-year-olds, and then internationally with a focus on three pillars being service, cultural exchange, and then vocation, which is what sets our program apart from others, which is exciting. And this coming year, we're trying to work on a couple exchanges right now. We are trying to take a girl from Brazil here for physical education, which is nearly all planned. And then we are working on three outbounds. So a girl to the UK for publishing, a young man to Singapore for health systems, and then a young woman to Italy for rehabilitation or mental health vocation. We're really excited about all we have coming up and are working hard on that. So thank you, and I'll pass it back.
Great. Craig.
Hi, everyone. Craig Henderson here. I'm currently the Rotary District Foundation Chair. Our group actually has two sides to it, although most people only know one, which is the disbursement of funds from the Rotary Foundation. Main thing we're trying to do this year is really correct a couple of things that have been festering for some time. One of which is because we're a little bit understaffed, the disbursement side of the house really gets all the attention. The other side of it, the fundraising side, has really been neglected for quite some period of time, with the effect that contributions from districtarians to the Rotary Foundation have been on a steady decline. So our goal here this year is to really rebuild the team primarily on the disbursement side, to pop me free a little bit more to focus on the fundraising side of things. We've had some great success. We've got three new people coming onto the team, which will really help with that a lot. So the story this year is really about rebuilding, primarily coming out of the pandemic, but rebuilding the disbursement team and starting to really focus on trying to drive the fundraising side of the house again.
Great. Mohammed.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar this morning. I know we wanted to do this a little bit earlier, but there was a lot going on in our district. Rob has been working on a lot of webinars, and there was many other things going on. So we are very happy with the numbers that is here today. Few days ago we were thinking, oh, are we going to have the numbers or not? So thank you all for being here. For those of you who don't know me, Mohammed Idris, from the Rotary Club of Brooks, currently the DGN. And I am having a wonderful and inspiring time working with our district governor, our district governor-elect, and many different individuals in the leadership team, and learning from everyone's experience. Uh, and look forward to working with many of you in different committees and learning about your work.
Rick.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm here representing RAYAC, the Rotary Alberta Youth Entrepreneurship Camp, which falls under the umbrella of the Youth Service, the District Youth Service Committee. I'm here standing in for Don Beavis, who is dealing with a family matter this morning. So I'm here. I'm also entering into the District Youth Exchange Committee as their trainer or learning and development guy. So I guess I can't get away from learning and development. Thank you.
I know.
Good morning, everybody. I'm District Governor Manon Mitchell from the Rotary Club of Calgary Downtown. And as District Governor, I'm the representative of Rotary International President Francesco Arezzo. And my role is to lead, inspire, raise awareness, and move our district forward in alignment with the Rotary Action Plan, which I'm sure you've all heard of by now. So that means that I need to ensure that we have committees that are well prepared to support the clubs that want to move forward in those specific areas. And we had a beautiful example of this recently. When I came in as DG, I said, right, let's get some goals going here, because a goal last year was let's support a wonderful international convention, and we did that. Now we need to focus on our own stuff. And the first goal that I thought would be pretty easy to do was membership. And I've asked all clubs to set a membership goal. I'm going to share my screen. Some of you may have seen this, some of you may not. There we go. This is where we're at right now. We started at 1,448 members. I've asked all clubs to set a goal. 32 clubs have set goals. Our current membership is 1516. This is absolutely amazing, folks. We have attracted 97 new members. We did lose 29, and attrition is normal. As many of you know, for example, Raju Paul passed away. Things happen in life, and we will always lose members, but it behooves us to make the membership experience absolutely wonderful for our members so that they stay. Our net new is 68. You know what that means? While you're sitting here, you've received an email in your inbox. It means that we are the top district for membership growth in our 2 zones. The top club, the top, with a net new of 68 members. So why did that happen? It happened for a number of reasons, not just one. Yes, we had a wonderful convention. It brought people's awareness to, oh, there's Rotary here. But it just didn't happen in Calgary. It's happening all over our district. Number 2, we have a membership committee that is active. Rotary has expected us to have 3 subcommittees: new clubs, engagement, and attraction. And these 3 subcommittees have been active with clubs. People have actually started doing things. Yes, there's the leadership involved. With more leadership and focus on this, things start happening. Member experience is increasing because people now have that awareness. It's a shared responsibility, and it's a beautiful example of when we have a committee that's engaged, great things happen. Measurable things happen. So I'm so thrilled to have shared that news with everybody today. You'll see it in your email, and I look forward to continued growth in our district throughout the year.
Amazing. Barbara.
Hello, everybody. My role on the district is the chair of the International Committee. And in that role, the undertaking is to provide support to clubs in the district who are either working currently in international or would like to work in international. We have a committee at the zone level covering the two zones we deal with primarily. And they have set a goal of trying to have more smaller clubs involved in international. And that involves financial commitments. And we are working on trying to come up with a proposal for the board of our district to change some of our granting policies to make it more convenient for smaller clubs to be involved. And I've talked to a few clubs and they're very enthused about the idea. So Craig, you can expect to hear from me. And we have set up in the district as a group of experts who have done a lot of international work. They're available to help because, as we know, when we add new clubs, they're going to be needing some help. Writing grants isn't an easy task. And there are people like Manon who will help them, who has done a lot in that area. So I think that's primarily what I've got to say. We do have regular meetings via Zoom about 3 times a year to give people an idea of the kind of projects that are underway in our district. We have a page on the district website which is needing update. So I'm looking for volunteers to help with that. But we want people to know not only the projects that are going well, but what the challenges are in running a project and what you can do to make them work better. So I guess that's pretty much it. Manon is on my committee, so I don't know whether Manon has anything to add to that.
No,
Okay.
that's great because the Rotary Club of Olds, for example, is looking at participating in global grants. They've never done that. Well, not all. They want to expand doing that because I know Steve has been doing global grants, but he's the only one. So they're interested in growing in that area. That's great.
Great. Thanks, Barbara. Eamon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eamon Saldana. I am a Rotaractor from University of Calgary. This is my first time meeting everyone online. Thanks so much for having me. And I'm currently the newly appointed chair for the Public Image Committee. I have, so far, in my understanding of my conversation with Mano, I will be helping the clubs on public image and how to engage with the community on a public image side. I will be onboarded soon in regards to how to use our website and our social media. And I look forward to working with everyone.
Yes,
Welcome.
I've been waiting for Eamon to be added to Club Runner to introduce him formally to the district. I had a fantastic meeting with him recently, and he will be a wonderful addition to our team. Breath of fresh air, and we'll see some cool things happening. Have to talk to you about district conference, Eamon. Whoops.
Of course.
Welcome. And lastly, Bev. Oh, just unmute, Bev.
I'm getting unstable internet connections, so sorry for having my camera off. I'm the assistant governor for the Lethbridge clubs, and all I'm trying to do is keep up with Mano.
Good luck.
We can do this, gal. We can do this.
I'm also just a note on the RAAC in my work life. I work a lot with the community futures offices and the economic development officers in our communities. And I really think that there's just not so much profile for that program. So if we can be doing something to just raise awareness of that program with our Rotary clubs, because all of us who have been around for a long time, Ripe and Ryla, that's it. And the youth exchange, that we sort of think those are our youth programs. So I'd be really happy in helping come up with some ideas to promote that a little more fully to our clubs.
Great. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. Mano, you're up. So Mano's and I'll let you choose the order. We're going to have a little brief discussion on governance. We're going to go through the terms of references and also just the message from the district as well. So Mano, over to you.
Okay, wonderful. When I stepped into the role of district governor, well, it actually starts when you're nominated, district governor nominee designate. So that was a little while ago. And I started picking up all the different bits and pieces of what makes our district work. And part of that is documenting what it is that we do. Because we have a limited term in some of the roles, key roles like president, which is basically, people think it's a one-year term, but really, if you do it well, it's president nominee, president-elect, president, and immediate past president. So some of these roles have a 4-year term. Realistically, what I have seen happen in the club is not that. People nominate their president-elect 3 months before the presidency starts instead of 2 years before to help a person prepare. And then as soon as a person is president, in a lot of cases, they continue to be president because they can't find somebody else to come into their position. So when I think about, I'm all about root cause. Why is it that way? One answer is lack of membership. When there's only 15 people in the club, out of those 15 people, you may find 4 of them who are prepared to do things. One always handles the fundraiser, another one handles the bank account, the other one handles just club activities, and then you're left with the president. And they rotate that role. So I thought, okay, we can do something about that. So first of all, we need to start shifting the mentality of being reactive to this every year a new president and being proactive. Let's see where we're going. I know we've done lots of work in the district with strategic planning, and most clubs have a strategic plan. But what I have noticed is most clubs' strategic plan is sitting on a shelf, and it's not being refreshed to reflect the reality of the clubs. And the reality of our clubs, and this is why I'm so excited about membership, is it's been going down and down and down. We have the numbers to show. Recently, in the last 3 years, we've stabilized and we've now come back up. So membership is important not just because of the members, it's because what that represents. You have more people now that you can tap on the shoulder, more fresh ideas coming to the table, increasing your impact in your community, whether it be community here or community around the world. So coming back to the root cause of where we're at and where we could potentially go, as I mentioned with the membership numbers, we took a very focused stance on membership in the fall. There were 4 basic goals at the district level. How many of you saw my district message at your club? Raise your hand. So not all of you. The first one, increasing our impact, was to double the number of Polio Plus Society members. Because we set that goal of 108, we are now actively doing something about it. We're promoting it. We had the big event. Marlene is working diligently. She works quietly in the background, this lady. She's just amazing. And she has kept our polio contributions going all these years, but now, boom, 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 it's increasing. Why? Because we're tooting about, hey, we need to increase this. And when Marlene goes to different clubs and hands out certificates, people go, oh, I'd like to get a certificate. What does it take? And when she explains it to them, then it's just a natural, it's just organic. It happens organically. Goal number 2 was to have 100% of the clubs set a membership goal. We're at about 78. A couple more clubs have jumped in. I am contacting the presidents, the membership chairs, the AGs directly over the phone to say, please put a number in, because something magical happens when you commit to a number, even if it's staying the same. A club of 15 wants to be 15 by the end of the year. Guess what? There's still attrition. They will still have to do something to replace the 1 or 2 or 3 members that will disappear from their club. And we saw that, and I just talked about that. And it's absolutely incredible. How do you get to the top of the class? Wow, that was amazing. But what was underneath that, as I mentioned, was a super active committee that made things happen. Next, the goal was under enhanced participant engagement, was to do the card writing exercise. How many of you participated in that? Raise your hand. Awesome. We just finished with Medicine Hat. Whoops. When I raised my hand, the system automatically raised my hand. That's kind of funny. I'll lower my hand. There we go. Just finished at Medicine Hat the Medicine Hat Ignite Club. You probably have never heard of that club. It is a satellite club to the Medicine Hat Sunrise Club. Yes, you heard me right. Satellite. They operate separately from the club. However, they are nested administratively under the same club. So that was really cool. That exercise, I think, was a lot of fun. I still have a few more cards in the bag here because the numbers didn't quite jive, but I'll be reaching out to some of my club members to help finish off that task. But the other goal was district conference. We are doing something different in district conference this year. We have hired 3 professional speakers, and we have an amazing speaker from Rotary who is, those of you who attend these first Monday of the month membership and leadership talks will have seen Louisa Horn. But the other 3 are amazing, and I'm not going to tell you who they are because we're going to have a really cool communications plan. And we're going to unveil these speakers as time goes along. But you'll know by mid-January who all of them are. And the goal there is to have 600 people attend. We had 524 for an international convention, 600 for our own homegrown, homemade convention or conference. It is, some people say it's a stretch, and I see the 2 past district governors sitting here going, yeah, right. But we set a goal, just like we did with membership. Did we plan on being top of the 2 zones? That wasn't part of the goal. The goal step was let's track membership. Naturally, what happened? Poof, we rose to the top. Same thing with district conference. The goal is 600. Naturally, boom, a lot of people will show up and will be really satisfied with their experience of going to the district conference. Okay, and then this is where you guys come in. The last goal was when I sat down and I thought, right, okay, let's see what makes this district ticked. Well, we have district committees, and the committees have terms of reference. Basically, the information that says here's why they are, why they exist, and what they want to do. And because I had this goal mindset, I thought, let's see if there's any idea of goals inside of these terms of reference. I looked at the list of terms of reference on Club Runner. They were all dated 2021. We are in 2025. Raise your hand if you think there's been changes in the world, in our communities since 2021. Our terms of reference should reflect that. We should at least have a look and go, you know what? That's something we do. That's something we do. That's something we do. I've reviewed it. I'll change the update date. Okay, it's updated December 2025. I reviewed it and I know we're still on track. Or we don't do that anymore. Take it out. We should be doing this. Put it in. For example, the membership committee terms of reference changed dramatically because Rotary International expected, there was a mandate on this, Margie, to create 3 subcommittees. We are mandated to have those 3 subcommittees under membership. So they changed their terms of reference. It is updated. So this is one of the goals. It's look at your committee's terms of reference. Why do you exist? Every single committee that is right here in front of me right now definitely exists, has a purpose, and makes a difference and supports clubs. Barb, question.
Well, I'm just wondering what the process will be to get them approved, having submitted a revised terms of reference a couple of months ago and not having it approved yet. What will be the process?
So technically, the process is that the immediate past district governor is responsible for governance. The immediate past district governor brings that to the board and has it approved, makes motions to approve your terms of reference. Christina was really sick and she was away, so I think she missed a board meeting or 2. So knock on Christina's door and say, can you please bring this to the attention of the board and have it approved? Good question. So here we are today, examining what it is that we do. Your terms of reference, the other thing that I think I asked, because I asked this at the beginning of the summer, before I started on my DG visits, I said, committee chairs, could you please update your terms of reference? So at least read it, and if it's okay, change the date. So that when I scan or the next DG scans the terms of reference, they see that it's now dated 2025. And they won't bug you because you've got up-to-date terms of reference. But also include succession planning because that is one of our big issues in the district at the club level, at the district level. Who's coming in next? And we have that, it's a major problem at many clubs because they can't find the next president. Nobody wants to be president. And truly, leadership roles in Rotary are amazing. So the same thing happens in committees. Craig talked about being short-staffed in the foundations committee. People who understand leadership and understand the purpose of your committee will step forward. We had Tracy Vavrick step forward to be the district endowment and major donor or major donations chair, DEMC, another wonderful acronym in Rotary. Awesome. She understands the value of major donors and endowments to the Rotary Foundation. That's what allows our clubs to do all these projects. Had it not been for each one of our donations, and of course, a generous contribution from one particular donor, we would not be able to do all the things that we do. It wouldn't exist. We would be doing, maybe 3, 4, 5 projects instead of the 30, 40, 50 projects that we do every year. So there you go. I think I've done enough ranting. I feel that terms of reference are important. Include succession planning. Include how often you meet. Because sometimes when I talk to people about these opportunities, I say, well, there's never a meeting. When Eamon and I had a conversation, I said there is no meeting because right now there's one advisor and that's it. There's nobody else on the committee. So he's there as an advisor. He will continue as advisor. Chad, thank you. So thanks to Chad for continuing in that role. And Eamon's going to grow his team and will help him do that. And wow, that the impact of that will be really cool. So know that your terms of reference is not just an exercise that has no meaning. It allows the district governor's stream to have a look at what you do. And when we travel the district, we identify those people. Rob, I've identified 2 more people that would be phenomenal facilitators in our district because of bouncing around all the clubs. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to stop and I'm open to any questions about your terms of reference.
I'm assuming we can still make updates to it. I know I submitted one a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
months ago, but
Oh, yeah.
updates to it.
Absolutely. Things change. Increasing our ability to adapt, this is what it's all about. If there is a change in our society, a change in our people, a change in the number of clubs we support, adjust your terms of reference and bring them back to the board. And we then post them. There they are. That's your new guidance for the year.
And I can't take credit. That was Minot who's bouncing around the district and passing names to Rob. You're too kind. And also Tracy Maverick's birthday today, just as an aside. I have to say happy birthday to her.
Yes.
Anyone else have any questions for Minot? We have some time for anything happening in the district. We're waiting for Cam, Minot. Is there anything else that you want to update us on the things that are happening at the district level?
I'm sorry, your
Oh.
sound is muffled a bit.
Do you have any other updates from the district? We're just waiting for Cam to join us. He had
Okay.
previous appointments. We put him at the end, so we're just waiting for him to join. So you have a bit more time if there's any other updates that you want to pass along.
So as I was chatting with a few people, we do have a satellite club in our district. So if you encounter clubs where there seems to be there's different symptoms, right? And one big symptom that I see a lot in our district is really poor attendance at club meetings. Anything below 50%. So it kind of makes you wonder, why are people not showing up for a club meeting, especially since many of these clubs only meet 2 times a month. It's not even every week. So we've changed from 4 to 2 or every other week, but people are still not showing up. So it kind of makes you wonder why. So, and the membership committee definitely has this under their wheelhouse. So it's not something you guys would do, but I'm informing you as Rotarians that you can ask this question at your club is, are we contacting the people who are not showing up on a regular basis and finding out why it is they're not showing up? Maybe the date, time, is just not suitable for them. There's a perfect opportunity for starting a satellite club. They're still members of your club, but they meet at a different time, different day, different location even. So there is a solution, and this solution works beautifully in Medicine Hat. The key to the success of this is a strong leadership connection between the two. That is the only key that makes that work well. When I went to Medicine Hat Ignite, 3 members from the Sunrise Club were there, and the assistant governor was there. So the club the satellite club feels supported by their host club, and the host club recognizes and respects their separate identity, and people participate in each other's fundraisers or service projects. So it's a very cool thing, and we're open to all kinds of club models now. Recently, in the DG meeting between zones, so every month I meet with all the other district governors from Zone 28 and 32, and we had a talk by John Huco, who is the General Secretary of both Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation. And he said, challenge your clubs to come up with different models. It's okay to do that. It's okay to do something different and encourage clubs to think out of the box. This comes from well, I won't say the top because Rotary is not a top down. Rotary is a bottom up. So it bubbles up from the bottom, and that's what we're encouraged to do. So, where was I going with all of this now that I'm filling in time, because I can fill in time till the cows come home. Right, updates. So that's what I've seen. Very, very cool. The other things that I've seen is way more social media posts by clubs. And that is really cool because we are showing the world, at least the Facebook world or Instagram world, that we are active and we have a presence. That's great. What I do see is, and this is where the mentoring thing came in, where, you know, I want to be mentored on AI, or I want to be mentored on technology as a mentor myself. I want to be a mentee. I feel that a lot of clubs are being held back because they have not made peace with technology. And the technology is actually pretty basic. However, it feels like a monumental task to learn that information, absorb it, have an open mind about it. And that I think is causing some frustration at clubs because they want to do this, they want to do that. I attended a club meeting where they said, we need to look at our technology. I said, well, aren't you using Club Runner? No. Well, no wonder you have communication issues because you're not using the basic tool that all clubs have access to. And with the new version, and thanks to Club Runner for providing that this past week, it's so much easier, and has all these wonderful tools to do stuff with. So there are the things that I see. And the positive things is the clubs that have set that membership goal that are actually doing something about membership, and it's not the membership chair's job, and many members are participating in it. Those are the ones with success. And all you have to do is go into the membership action plan on Club Runner, and all of the tools are there. How many of you have seen the membership action plan? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The cool thing about it is that the strategies are all in there. It's not just a numbers tracking software. It also has all of the tools that a club needs. So, and the one tool that I underscore for most clubs, I say, read this document first. It's a document that says what not to do, that clubs insist on doing, that they think is going to bring in new members, but never does. I said, read that document first, and then go into the document that says, here are some strategies for attracting new people. And be in touch with your people. There's a survey built in to the membership action plan. I don't know how many clubs have done it. I don't have the statistics on that, but I certainly know that the clubs that have done surveys internally, and do it. Often we think, not another survey. Make it short, make it sweet, but do it, and do it annually, because people change, life changes. And what might be appropriate for your club to do one year might not be the next. And I think if there's something that is tried and true to the demise of clubs, is keeping the same thing year after year and doing the same thing year after year, expecting to have no more members, expecting to have more engaged members, expecting not to have issues with trying to find the next president or the next secretary or the next president-elect. Change is inevitable. Our bodies change every minute. Every minute you lose cells, every minute you get new cells. It's just inherent to the human experience. But I think what we need to do is look at how can we orchestrate change in a way that is supportive. So yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
sorry. Oh, sorry, Min, I thought you were finished.
Nope, I can end right there.
Go ahead, Dan.
Now I'm starting to ramble.
Yeah.
Not a good thing.
Go ahead, Dan. I see your hand raised.
Yeah, no, I like the messaging that you're giving and what you're trying to do. I would like, however, to challenge you a little bit because I believe words do matter.
Yep.
And I think we need to have the discussion not on strategic plans, but we need to be using the action plan
Yes.
format that has been done. And as you know, that's we do a lot of training on that for the DGs and DGEs. And whenever I've been involved in that process, um, yeah. So I think that we need to get clubs, how do you get people engaged? How do you, increase your
Yep.
impact? How do you expand our reach and how do we adapt? But I think that's the language that needs to be consistently sent out to the clubs. I'd like
You're
to come back to
absolutely
the
Yep.
satellite club. And, Medicine Hat Ignite started in 2019, 2020. And that was a spin-off out of Margie's club, out of the Medicine Hat Club. The Karen Blewett and Chris and a number of the people left and did that. And in 2020, they ran, because of COVID and things, they ran into issues. And it was convenient for who was left in that Ignite club because Karen and Sean are married, and Sean was in the Breakfast Club, right? So I think, but my concern there is I love the group, I love what they're trying to do, but it's been 5 years where they haven't been able to truly find their identity and grow what's happening. So yes, it's nice to have the satellite club there, but how do we get them more engaged in driving initiatives? So it's, when we look at all the growth and things that happen, we need to also, your chart that you showed is great because that is the zone kind of presentation on what happens in June, the big drop off. And I think our challenge now, each of the clubs that don't have a action plan in place, that's where we start to lose members, right? So
Yep.
we need to really work on understanding those, you talked about a little bit, who hasn't been coming. Well, I think the majority of clubs don't really even understand Rotary outside of their own four walls. So
Right.
I think that's the type of messaging that we need to get there. So
So
thanks for what you're doing.
to address your 2 points, we are shifting president-elect learning this year. And we started last year, but it's hard to get the wheel started. And it all revolves around the Rotary Action Plan. I'm going to be doing a mid-year meeting with the presidents next week. I've got 4 sessions because you can't get them all at once. But that's when I'm going to start introducing that because I want them to track what they're doing this year. Don't think about the future. Just think, let's track this year. And then in President-elect learning session, again, this is all aligned with Rotary Action Plan. what are you planning next year so that the goals are in place before July 1st? And that what we're doing at the DG stream level is we are going to set our 3-year rolling goals this year. We're going to expect clubs to have just the 1-year goal. Next year, we're going to shift to, okay, now expand to 3 years. But it's a really slow process because goal setting is not a it's not something we do well in our district. And this year, we had success with the first goal. Now we're going to expand it as people realize how important it is, because now they're seeing the benefits. It's going to be easier to have them participate in their own goal. And the other thing that's related to that is we are planning to do a learning event called One Summit. And it talks about the Rotary Action Plan. So it gets it into the clubs, and they will talk about Rotary Action Plan pillars, priorities, and have the discussion around what is possible in their club. So yes, we are going to be doing all of that, Dan, and it'll take time, but we will get there.
I think the goals fall out of the plan. So
Yep.
I think starting with goals does not drive a plan. So I think that's my perception and the way that we've successfully implemented it around the zone. So I think that you really, I would push back on it. It's not easy. I think if you given the right tools and the right presentation of the action plan, I think you would get more clubs to earn into it and understand that the goals are just a byproduct. That's a byproduct of a solid action plan. So it's a little different in philosophy, but at least you're
Yep.
working towards
And
it.
mine is rooted in actual doing, because we've been doing the Rotary Action Plan stuff with the presidents at President-elect training for the last 2-3 years, 2 years for sure. And expecting the goals to happen has not happened. So we made it a goal to make a goal. And that is now the grease that is making the wheel turn. You can't have one without the other. When you have both, then they work well. Okay, I see Cam here. I'm going to stop.
Okay. Thank you, Minnow. Thank you, Dan. Great conversation. So I'm going to pass it over to Cam Stewart now, and Cam's going to talk to us about the community outreach plan. So Cam, take it away. You have to unmute yourself. Sorry, I just muted you because there was some background noise when you first joined. But...
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm in a hotel room. I've got another presentation shortly after here, so hopefully there won't be too much noise. And hopefully my computer won't die. So if it does, well, I can always come on my phone. Thanks for putting that up for me, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm really excited to share with you a Rotary Together plan that we're working on the district here. So my name's Cam Stewart. My gifted Blackfoot name is Magats-the-Pinnakum, meaning red morning. That was gifted to me by Herman Yellow Old Woman. And I'm the chair of the Indigenous Relations Committee, and I also sit on the board as a member at large. So this is an exciting time for Rotary, and I caught part of the talk about membership, and this is part about membership, but it's more than that. So, and as I was putting this presentation together, I was looking at what Rotary clubs and districts are doing around the world. And because I was looking at graphics and stuff for Rotary Together. And so we're going to leverage that, but also expand and do things in our own way, in our Alberta way. So I'll just go to the next slide here. So why Rotary Together? And I think there's there's a decline in membership, even though we've had the growth, but before this we had a decline in membership. But overall, and again, I've worked in the nonprofit sector, I've worked in the corporate sector and government sector. There's a decline in participation, in volunteerism, in attending events, in getting involved and rolling up the sleeves in communities. Kiwanis clubs, Kinsmen, Lions, I've been talking to them all, and they're all declining because their membership has not diversified. And I've been in this preaching this for 25 years, that if you don't grow, you're going to die, and if you don't grow through diversity and other options, other people that are out there, you're going to die. And so we're seeing community organizations like, whether it's Albert Park, Forest Lawn, Deer Run, you're seeing them. People aren't volunteering even for their own community organizations, and they're dying because they haven't diversified. They haven't invited people in. They haven't also gone out. And so we've had a huge shift in demographics. We're up, in our populations here in Alberta, especially in the greater Calgary, Lethbridge, and the other cities, Red Deer. We're up to 20 to 35% a visible minority. We've got in all of those cities, we have 5% Indigenous people. We have 5% 2S LGBT. We've got lots of women that aren't engaged, and so there's a huge opportunities. And so this is why this initiative is out there, is to look at what we can do together to outreach, not just on membership. It's about, I always say, it's all, even when you're looking at fundraising, we're not here to raise funds and necessarily to raise members as the only matrix. We're to raise friends. We're getting people to know what Rotary does. I don't know how many times I've been out the last year and people have said, "What's Rotary?" Or you guys do that house lottery, or you guys, like, they don't know, they don't understand. And so I think it's time to, to do more than just sit back and wait people to come to us. Let's see what we can do to go out to the different communities. So, next slide, please, Rob. So, number one, this is a district strategy, and so this is a strategy that's going to strengthen collaboration around the clubs. We're all going to be on the same song sheet, so to speak. We're going to improve our visibility and our storytelling. One of the things we had our first meeting last week, people talked about myth busting. Going out in communities, telling what Rotary is and what Rotary isn't, because people don't know. Foster inclusive, welcoming environments. For years, I have had people from different backgrounds, different age brackets, that said that when they go into a Rotary meeting, it's not an inclusive, welcoming community. There's different cliques going on. It's not where, that there's any, welcoming environment. They don't see themselves represented in any of the Rotary documents, in any of the district documents. And so that's a huge problem to try to not only attract people, but keep people. And last but not least, modernize outreach approaches. And so what we're putting in here is some of the latest engagement strategies that are being used by corporations and by the bigger nonprofits. And so we want to modernize that for Rotary. So the core pillars are communications. How do we tell our story? How do we get out there? And there is going to be, virtual things like some of the posters I'm showing here, and some other messages that we're going to be doing on social media and on our website. But it's going to be storytelling, rubbing elbows, pressing the flesh, shaking hands, telling the story, getting to know people. It's about making partnerships with, whether it's Indigenous, whether it's the local agri-center, whether it's the local newcomers, organizations, and it's building partnerships and presence. It's about member engagement. It's about getting members out there. When I put out the call for this initiative, we had over 20 people that said, yes, this is something I want to get involved with this. And I'm ready to to do that. And we've got a lot of the district covered in that membership. It's quite interesting to see the number of members and where they're from across the district. And of course, digital and youth. So, making sure that we're including everything we say as Rotary and Rotaract, and we get youth engaged in whatever it looks like. So how the strategy was developed, it's a unique perspective because it was actually developed with 4 of the district's committees. So myself from the Indigenous Relations Committee, the DE&I Committee with Judy Bopp, Catherine, and Christine, Jeff Foss from the Membership Committee, and Chad from the marketing side of it. And so we came together and said, you know what, this fits in exactly what we all want to do. And so rather than us going on our separate ways, we built this strategy looking at what we've heard in our work with our members, with our own committees, with the communities. And we made sure everyone felt there was feedback. So it's unique. And I think that's why it was successful going to the board. Those of you who've been involved with boards, and this board in particular, to come up and have a strategy that is fully endorsed by the board was amazing. And so we're fully endorsed with a small budget, but it's something we're going to be able to accomplish some measurable outcomes this year. When I've talked to community about this before and now, they're all excited. We've got community partners, whether it's Indigenous communities, the settlement newcomer communities, disability communities. They're all excited about, hey, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And we want to use evidence-based best practices. We're going to be measuring our success. One of the values of Rotary is this saying here: together, we see a world where people unite, take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. And I think that says it among other statements and philosophies that we want to outreach into the general community. Next page. So another thing that Rotary, and I was surprised when I looked across the globe of what Rotary is doing on its DE&I, and they're not backing back from DEI. And so one of the things is that, we are all welcome. And I think that's the message that people have to get, because we know anecdotally and firsthand, we have heard people say, I don't see myself as Rotarian. Rotary is a big, is a business, guys. It costs lots of money, and I think, if we can do this well, when we can show people they're all welcome, when they can see that their values align with Rotary values, which we all do here, I think that we will get people interested in partnering or being members or volunteering for Rotary. And so we're going to be working with the clubs on making sure that, and supporting them on doing it, because there's no use us say going and doing a big membership drive and doing some signature events, and then them showing up at a club and finding out the club's policies don't really align, or their practices don't align with what we're trying to say. And so, yeah, we might get them in for a few days, or a few meetings or a few events, but then they're saying, well, there's a problem there. So we're actually working on helping develop some tools so that club leaders can welcome people in, and making sure that there's no barriers or remove barriers for certain populations. I love what the Rotary Mosaic is doing down in Lethbridge to remove barriers. When I started the Calgary Mosaic, one of the things we looked at removing barriers and whatever that looked like, and so we were able to identify that, and people felt like they were being heard. And again, interclub cooperation. So one of the things about this strategy, and I'll talk in a sec, is that we're going to be working with people in different regions and clubs in different regions to see what does that look like that we work together when we're putting on events. And so that we're going to have a presence. Rotary will have a presence in many places this year, this summer, this spring and fall. But it won't just be on the shoulders of one club to do it. Next page. So yeah, expected outcomes, a stronger Rotary presence. The community will see us out there. They'll see us at their events. They'll see us on social media. I really expect we'll see a growth in club memberships, and that growth will be some from people that that have been underrepresented in clubs that maybe we do fund them for certain things, but we haven't invited them or encouraged them to join clubs. We're going to see more partnerships. We're going to see partnerships with a whole range of people because, again, we're going to be, walking hand in hand with them during events and supporting them and showing that, we have time, talent, and treasure, but we're also fun, community-minded people, and we want to work with them. And so it's not just what we have; it's what we can give, but what we can take back to our communities, and hopefully approved alignment across clubs. It goes with some of those other things that we were talking before about the what was going on in memberships and tracking the numbers. So the next steps are actually pretty simple, and we have a year to do this, and then we'll reevaluate. And the district can decide what they want to do with it from there. And so one is adopt and develop Rotary Together tools, and so there are some existing things like I've shown you here that Rotary Together has things, but again, we're going to adopt it to Alberta context, to Calgary context, to Red Deer, to Lethbridge, to the rural communities. Next is we're going to host some signature events. And so there'll be events in Calgary, Lethbridge, Red Deer, and Medicine Hat. And then we'll also support clubs that aren't within those, we'll say, catchment areas to also host events. What we plan on is having a booth, some swag. We'll have volunteers that will have, T-shirts, Rotary Together T-shirts. We'll have pamphlets. And so we'll be able to go to, and help, whether it's down in High River or Lacombe, we'll be able to help those clubs that want to have a Rotary Together event to invite their local community partners and diverse communities. And last but not least, that I think I'm really excited about is community outreach and participation. So as much as we're going to be inviting and personally inviting diverse communities and other communities that haven't really looked at Rotary in the past, but we're going to be inviting them to these signature events and to come visit us. We're going to be going out to their events. So with our booth, that we're going to find out, okay, there's a Tabor festival, or there's a powwow, or there's a multicultural event. We're going to find opportunities with partners, future and current partners, to showcase what Rotary does. And so it's a really pivotal part is we just can't sit back and say, well, come to our club, make a presentation. No, we're going to go to their clubs. We're going to go to their events. And I think it's a really powerful message that no one else is doing in Rotary. Again, nonprofits are doing, corporations are doing it, so why not us? And so we have a cadre of ambassadors. We'll have a system in place to track and attend these events. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting to be out in community in a different way. But again, it's tracking it and measuring it. Which again, not to say it doesn't happen, because I know a lot of clubs, they do go to their local events and their parades and festivals, but hopefully we can help track that and see what impact we're making. So, together we can strengthen Rotary's impact, and I think that's the message. We'll have some tools, we'll have some capacity building within the district. And we have a method of getting it out there. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. And more than anything, we're going to have fun. I know the people have all signed on to that. They're all keen to represent Rotary in whatever it takes in their own ethnic communities or to reach out to others. And so everyone's really excited of rolling up their sleeves and doing something a little bit different than we've done in the past. So I'm going to open up for questions.
So Cam, Manon here.
Yeah.
Yes, it got huge, very quick uptake by the board because it demonstrated, it's a perfect example of the Rotary Action Plan in action. And you can, through this exercise, if you look at all 4 priorities in the action plan, there is something about this Rotary Together that fits in every one of those action plan priorities. So again, I think it's no surprise that it was accepted unanimously very quickly. And what my question is, what is the first thing that we're going to see from this committee? The first milestone, I guess. I was only at the beginning of the meeting and I didn't sit through the rest, and I'm sure that was something that you guys talked about. What next steps? So, yeah, what's the next thing we'll see?
Yeah, well, I think part of it is messaging and branding, and getting people excited. It's training our 20 community members / ambassadors on the messaging, because I think that's important. And then identifying community partners, and making a list. I mean, we made a list. We had a whiteboard and people just threw out all the different groups and segments of populations, everything from youth to seniors to newcomer settlement places to all the different possible people we can engage. And again, the list just kept on growing. So one is to look at that list across the province and looking at it again in those 4 communities, but where else on top of that. And then we'll have a subcommittee that will work on with the membership team at developing and hosting the four signature events across the district, and working with those clubs in that district in those areas. And so again, this is not meant to be on its own and a committee doing it. This is meant to that we get clubs involved, and so we'll have a representative from the committee that will reach out to all the clubs, say in Calgary, whatever it is, a dozen clubs in Calgary. Okay, here's what we're doing. By all means, you're welcome to participate in the organization of what that looks like. At the very least, we need 1 or 2 of your club members there, and making sure we have participation by wherever we're hosting these things, that it is with them and for them, and they're going to be the benefit of this, because they're going to be the ones that will get members, that they will get networks, that they will find somebody that they've got maybe a project. That somebody says, well, I have a neat idea. I mean, they're the ones that are going to the benefit. I mean, the committee itself, we're just the conduit to help connect community with Rotary.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question for Cam? Minot, could you maybe, the question was, I think, more for the district level, Barbara's question about the district diagram. Can you speak to that?
Oh, district diagram. That very good question, Barb. Um, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's it's a little complex, and I guess you're looking for, just to confirm what you're looking for, is who's who in the zoo and who reports. Well, I don't want to use the word report. What are the relationships between the different people in leadership roles in the district? Is that correct?
That's correct. I find that the structure of the district is very unusual and not does not represent anything I've ever been familiar with before in terms of the structure of the board, for example. So it would be really good to know exactly what it all is.
Yes, because and this is why uh I'm still trying to settle that image in my own mind, because we have a governance board, and the governance board is not about the operational side of things. And then we have committees and assistant governors that deal with the operational side, and there does not seem to be a connection between the two other than different district governors being ex officio to certain committees. And that is the relationship which is not shown anywhere in any diagram. And then when you look at the list of committees, we have like 15 committees, but are they all active? Do they still have a purpose? Which is again why I asked for terms of reference to be updated so that we can see who is active, who is doing something, and then we can streamline that list so that it reflects what we're doing. So
I
that
think that's very important because even a governance board has to be responsible for what goes on. I mean, legally, they're responsible.
right.
And it seems to me that what I currently see is they're two separate things. There's a board sitting over there somewhere, and then there's a bunch of people doing stuff.
Yes, yes. So we'll have to document that bridge. Uh, Rick and Dan, perhaps in your years, how did you handle with that fragmentation or that what seems to be a separateness? Rick?
Um, I think in terms of I think what the visual thing that Barbara is looking for, I think it already exists if it still is in Club Runner, because Club Runner's defaulted to give a list. If you go under organization, and it'll list district committees, and it'll list the whole structure. It's basically contact, but there's another button you can hit, and it'll diagrammatically show you. I would call it a 1980s org chart kind of thing. So I think
Have a
that
look.
exists.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have a look. Thanks.
What I did in my DGE year, I created Excel spreadsheets because I wasn't aware that Club Runner already did this until Charlene informed me that I was doing a lot of work for nothing. But I created these Excel spreadsheets. I set them up in a template, and then I send them to all the district committees that were in existence at that time and asked them to update it. And not only did it was two things. It was for each committee, there was an org chart and there was contact information, which you can appreciate with all the changes that typically occur each year. It's a lot of work to keep up to date. The disappointing thing was wasn't aware of this already existed in Club Runner, and I think it's still there, and I hope the new Nova program even probably enhances it. I don't know
I
if
think
I've answered your question, Minnow, or not.
I would suggest that when I was district governor, I actually got rid of a bunch of committees. I simplified the structure and made it much more relevant. I don't think the issue is the complexity of our org chart or what it is or what it isn't. I think the major issue is that the majority of members, never mind clubs, understand the role of the various committees. I think there's just an absolute gap between, I use the line a lot that, I'm from the district and it sounded like a TV show because people had no real concept of who we were and what we do. And I'd suggest even now it's even more intense that way. And people don't understand the relevancy of Rotary very often because again, I come back to that comment that clubs are very cloistered in their own four walls. And I think it's really, really important that if we have a committee, that we find better ways for the committees to communicate with the membership and the clubs. And I applaud Cam for his initiative on the way he's trying to get that out organically and engage everybody. The other thing I fear is that sometimes we get so Calgary centric that we're not able to really engage outside of that. But I think it's more only have committees that are relevant and doing something. We don't need people just have titles. I think that's one important thing. And the second is communicating and engaging. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this new initiative of Rotary Together will help in expanding the awareness of there's something more to Rotary than just the club.
Great. Thanks, Cam. Thanks for the discussion, everybody. Mohammed, over to you.
Thank you, Cam, for the presentation, and thank you for this initiative. One of the reasons we brought this initiative is to show to this committee or to this webinar is to show that sometimes when you work together, you can achieve even better than working in silos. And Cam will show in his idea came from 3 different committees working together in presenting this. So thank you, Cam. Like when I look at the district, I think of the district as like the main function. The main function of the district is that we are here to support the clubs. Manon spoke earlier about the bottom up organization, and the club experience is everything about Rotary. That is why people stay in Rotary. That is why, yes, we may join for different reasons, but once you are in, you stay because of the club experience. And if we as district leaders are not able to enhance that experience, we are not doing what we need to do. And that goes to the committees. Like I was just looking in just to actually show you where it is on the district website. We actually, Manon, you said 15. We have 28 committees. It says here on the district website. So and Dan spoke about the idea that the clubs do not understand the district. I would actually argue that maybe even we as leaders, committees do not understand what other committees are doing. And I think this is a first step in trying to solve this. Why we thought it's a good idea to invite in this webinar the committee chairs is for committee chairs to learn what other committees are doing. I was listening to people speaking earlier when they were presenting their committees, and I actually can see, oh, this is something that I want to know more about. Oh, this is something that this other committee can help in. Oh, this is an initiative can be done by more than one committee. So if every committee in there are committees that are doing very, very good work, very, very important work. But if every committee is doing that work separately by themselves and living in that, what they are doing, but other committees do not know about and do not know how can we help or how can we get help from that committee, then we are not doing what we need to do. So what my hope from this session, what Rob's hope from this session when we talked about it, is to try to make committees work together and make committees support each other in the work that they do. and as Manon spoke earlier, we need to streamline. And maybe the organization chart we are speaking about is to have, like, for example, now we have RILA, RIPEN, RIAC, all of these youth, like they are subcommittees of the youth, or they are programs of the youth. So maybe we need to figure that better, so that what is a subcommittee versus what is a committee, in how can people work together. Then we have committees that are a one-man show. Then is that a committee? Is that another function of Rotary? Like, for example, the Council on Legislation. Okay, Dan is our representative there. Does that need to be a committee? Does that, like, how can we make that a committee? Is it something that Dan works with the DG stream on? So all these things make us able to figure out that structure, figure out that idea of how we can work together, and then we will be able to have a better org chart that we can manage, that the reporting lines between the committees and between the board will be clearer, and we will be able to do it in a better way. So these are some of the questions in my mind. These are some of the questions that I think maybe even we are finishing early a little bit. So maybe even it's an opportunity now to talk about, what are maybe some of the next steps that we need to do. Manon touched on that. In early January, we are thinking about going into strategic planning exercise. And I know Dan said, word matter, and now we are going into a different term. But why we are calling it a strategic planning exercise is because we want to bring few people together, think about the action plan, and how can we put that, like our strategic plan, our previous strategic plan just expired last year. So, and it was built under the old format. So how can we change that into an action plan now that we can build under the new format? So thank you for the discussion. If you have some thoughts on what I just talked about, we can have some conversations. Otherwise, maybe you have a little bit of a break and finish early.
So just to provide a bit more information about the district organization chart, I did click that button. Actually, it's right there. Yeah, click that, Mohammed, and this is what we get. And this reflects the disconnect between these roles and committees, because there is no information at all about our committees in here. And when Mohammed went to the committees list, there were 28 committees, and some of them are roles. So it'll be interesting to look at the functionality of Club Runner Nova to see if they distinguish between a role at the district level and a committee at the district level, because not all, like, for example, the Council on Legislation role, it's not a committee. It's a one person appointed with a backup. So it's two people. It's not a committee. If the one person can't do the job, then the backup kicks in, and that's all that is. And that's defined in the Code of Policy for Rotary International. And that's not a committee, but it's an important role, and it's a required role that we need to have. And and for those who don't know what that's all about, it provides the conduit for us as Rotarians and district members to bring up policy change at Rotary International. Perfect example is we were, I'll use the word mandated, in the past, clubs had to have weekly meetings. It was through the Council on Resolution, then was then referred from there to the Council on Legislation to change that legislation. And now the legislation, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but it's been updated to say meet at least twice a month. and it's no longer
Yeah, there's lots of flexibility.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that Council on Resolution and Council on Legislation does, and we have one representative with a backup on that. So tidying up the committees and roles, I hope Club Runner can make that distinction, because then it would be easy to click a button and see all the committees and not and then see all the roles, the individual roles. So
I see Eamon has his hand up.
Yes, sorry. If I may, I think that just looking at the website and whatever I've been able to access, I think it's just a matter of sorting what is on the website, on the backup end, what? On the other end of the website. And I think it's just sorting. I think that it's just what I call as, um, it's just a matter of like really clicking what is committee and what is not a committee and what is the role, right? I think it's just a matter of sorting it on the other end. At the yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. So once I am able to have full access on the website, I will be able to kind of rearrange that and then maybe go from there, and see what is questionable that is existing on the committees.
awesome. Thanks, Eamon. If you have any questions, just give me a buzz. Club Runner was my introduction to Rotary was Club Runner. I became the Club Runner guru for my club as soon as they found out I had an IT background.
I see the comments from Margie, and yes, the NGSC is that logical next step for youth programming, and maybe that is why, yes, we have an NGSC committee, but is it something that we can have as part of the youth committee? Is a question that still have the committee, the subcommittee, but have that be part also of the youth committee discussion.
If I may, Mohammed, I think Tabitha's intending to attend the next District Youth and Vocational Service Committee meeting. We've always been a part of that under the chairmanship of Brian. And in the past, we have submitted a monthly report to Brian, who then summarizes and presents it to the district board. But I think that marketing of our program among the youth programs has not been happening as well as it could, linking with all of the discussion around partnerships, communication, etc. Maybe from our side, we need to work out how to approach the youth programs to know what the next best step would be to get our program in the minds of those young people.
That's a very good step. That's a very good step.
Rick?
Yeah, I like what Margie said. I think, the concept of having a youth service committee with the various subcommittees, I think we just need to develop, and it has been, I would say, in the last few years, a goal of ours to really work together and coordinate the launch and the communications, promotion of all of our programs. Because from my point of view, we offer some awesome youth programs in leadership development, entrepreneurship, financial wellness, those sort of thing, NGSE. I mean, that's been a recent one where that committee, where we used to have a vocational services and a youth service committee, we've combined them. So I think that makes a certain amount of sense, because, we have, and maybe we have to look at other opportunities to really package all of it around the youth service umbrella, I guess I would say.
I think that I was just going to put it in the chat, but since Rick finished his thought, I think this would be a great district learning webinar to have people come on and teach, inform the district what NGSE is and the impact it has.
Just on that note, Rob, we've tried this. It's been a goal of Brian's, and I would say myself, of having a sort of a launch. We've done it the last 2 years. I think the thing that's a bit disappointing is the turnout that we get. We've used Zoom, obviously, for obvious reasons. Either we're not communicating effectively, or people don't care, or don't see youth service as a valid program in their club. Of our 48 clubs, I believe there's only 20, somewhere between 20 and 28 clubs that actually have designated youth service leads.
Right.
And that's our connection point. That's how we've been doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can never, if you put it out there, people join, the people that join will enjoy it. They'll then go back and talk to other club members about it, hopefully, right? So it just slowly starts, it's slow, but all we can do is offer the opportunity. Any other comments about anything that we've discussed today from anybody? Mohammed, anything else you want to talk about in the session?
No, I think we touched on the main items that we wanted to touch on. Again, I finish with saying that the goal of this session is to start that dialogue between committees, to work together, to align our missions, to align our goals, so that we are enhancing that club experience for our members, and supporting our clubs be the vibrant clubs that we want them to be. And anything the district can do to help that, it is something that we will do.
Great. So with that, I'm sure like all of you, I have a sidewalk to shovel. So thanks everyone for taking their time out of the morning this morning. Really appreciate everyone's interest and involvement. And Mohammed, thanks for helping get this organized. And without further ado, I hope everyone has a great holiday season with their families. Can't believe it's only a few weeks away. So thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rob, Mohammed, and all of you. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.